everybody has a different personality, different interests. They give off different vibes. Well, what if based off of your personality that exhibit a kind of flavor? And I don't mean taste wise, I just mean like when people get to know you. Like if you could describe your personality and the way you are in a flavor, what flavor would you pick to describe yourself? I know this probably sounds really weird, but think about it though. Some people can be described as sweet, bitter, spicy, like they have a very intense personality. And then when you go deeper into that, there's different types of spice, there's different types of flavor, just like really within those categories. So if you could pick one for your personality, which one would you pick? Now, I think you could answer this question in so many different ways. Like, I think it's possible to be sweet and salty. I think you could be sweet and spicy, spicy and salty. There's just so many different combinations of things that can kind of blend together. I was talking about this one time and I thought it was kind of an interesting topic. I can't quite remember what flavor I picked for myself, but of course we're being silly. Like, oh, I'd be vanilla flavor, I'd be strawberry because I like strawberries, or I think lime's pretty cool. But when you think about it, everybody, like anytime you get to meet somebody, sometimes you click with people right away because you think that person's so sweet, or, oh, that person, I have a lot in common with them, or, oh, I like them, but that person has a very intense personality. They just seem very spicy, very feisty when you get to know them, or, oh, that person seems more bitter. They seem more grouchy. They seem more distant. They really don't like talking to people. No, I don't really know if I want to talk to that person. I may not be very compatible with them. And this doesn't have to be really a good or a bad thing because there's different types of people in the world. I mean, if you have two sweet people together, that kind of makes sense. The better person may seem like the less desirable person, but if you have another person who's very similar to them, they may actually get along fairly well. And then occasionally you can have somebody who has a more sweet personality, and maybe you do put them with the bitter person, they actually get along. So then if you think of that like combining flavors, then that has a very interesting kind of result because in some cases you can have people that are opposites that get together very long. They get together very well. So if you were to compare that like a flavor, like sometimes you combine two flavors together and it actually ends up being something more fascinating than what you'd normally expect. Like, you know, it's just a very interesting concept because people can be very complicated. Relationships, getting to know people, it's not always an easy thing to do, but sometimes it can have some unexpected results. You may think because somebody's a lot different than you that you're not going to get along with them, and once you get to know them better, if you've met people like them that you didn't get along with before, this person may actually be different because, maybe this could be somebody who's bitter on the outside, but once you get to know them, they're actually a very friendly person, they're actually very sweet, but when you first meet them, like on a surface level, they kind of have their guard up. They're used to being hurt in the past, so they're going to seem maybe kind of cold at first until they kind of warm up to you. And that's actually very common when you get to know people. There's also people that can be very sweet at first, and you get to know them better, and maybe you realize they're not always very patient. Maybe they have a very short fuse. They get angry very easily. So it really is a very interesting concept when you think about it. Yeah, you'll meet so many different types of people throughout your life, so many wonderful people, but this is why I really stress importance that when people get to know people, you really go deeper beyond the surface to get to know them, because again, over time, you will start to learn more things about people. They'll show themselves for they really are. That can be good, that can be bad, but over time, if it's ever somebody who they really don't know who their friends are, or if they're getting along with somebody, time will really tell a lot of things about a person. So if you feel like you meet a lot of people that you're not really sure about them at first, don't be so quick to just be done with people, because people, they're very complex, but they really have a lot to offer the world. But because they're complex, it just makes relationships very difficult at first. So if you're somebody who really doesn't like to get to know people for a super lengthy period of time, just really kind of try to challenge yourself to have an open mind about it and just realize that the people are far more than what you see when you first meet them. It's not uncommon to meet somebody who you really can't stand at first, and maybe years later you realize, you look back on your first memory of them and maybe you laugh because that person ended up becoming your best friend after a while. So just some food for thought. Have a nice day, everybody.